In other news, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, in his address following his Supreme Court victory, has emphasized the importance of national unity and reconciliation. He called on all Nigerians to put aside their political differences and work together for the betterment of the country. Leaders of the opposition parties, while expressing their dissatisfaction with the court's ruling, have urged their supporters to respect the decision and uphold the rule of law. They emphasized the importance of a robust, loyal opposition that will hold the government accountable while adhering to peaceful and democratic means. Meanwhile, civil society organizations and international observers have praised Nigeria's democracy and called for all stakeholders to respect the rule of law. They stressed that the importance of peaceful coexistence and a commitment to the welfare of Nigerians. Well, to look at some of these developments, we're joined by social commentator Abiodun Sowunmi. Mr. Sowunmi, nice to see you again. Good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. Considering the Supreme Court's verdict affirming President Bola Tinubu's election victory, what should the right attitude be and the right approach that political parties in Nigeria need to adapt for the sake of national unity and progress? I think last time you and I spoke, it was before he became president. So over to you, sir.
First and foremost, we need to understand that the principle guiding democracy, and in fact, the pillar on which democracy is rested, is the rule of law. And therefore, when you have elections, we are bound to have competing people, qualified people of equal status or unequal status, but qualified. There's no way how anybody can say that the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is not fit to be in that office. Same thing with Obi and Tinubu. Now, we've had this contest, and one way or the other, we ended up in court, and the courts have adjudicated. Given the role of the judiciary in the whole process, we are bound to accept the rule of law. And the highest court in the land has made pronouncements, which may be to the satisfaction of some or to the dissatisfaction of others. The fact of the matter is we have to allow democracy to grow in line, and conditioned by the rule of law. Once we accept that, our laws might not be perfect. Even our judiciary might not be perfect, just like the politicians are not perfect. The fact of the matter is we will keep maturing in that process to get to the promised land. We may not be at the promised land currently, but eventually all the political actors, have a key role to ensure that we stick to a democracy guided by the rule of law so that we can get to the promised land. Even in the United States of America, where we copied or we emulated the presidential system of government, from. Even we still have issues, disputes about who won election, who did not win election between Trump and Biden. So therefore, once this court have spoken, that should be the final answer to all the issues, particularly the Supreme Court. So whether it is perfect, it is imperfect, whether we agree with it or we don't agree with it, the rule of law says the arbitrator, the final arbitrator, Supreme Court, is almost infallible. And therefore, we are bound to respect the decision of the Supreme Court.
All right. You're a social commentator, and that means you're part of civil society. Mr. Sowunmi, what role do you believe civil society organizations and the media should play in shaping the discourse and also the behavior of political parties and leaders, following this significant decision of the court?
The media, in the first instance, to say the fact, the media has done a lot in terms of improving access to information, in terms of screening and presentation of candidates, in terms of looking at their programs and looking at what they have in stock, for Nigerians. I may not necessarily agree with everything on social media because that is not a professional media. I'm referring to the conventional media, like yours, like channels, TVC, NTA, and the print media generally. They have done a lot in terms of providing information, ensuring a thorough debates on issues so that Nigerians can make up their mind one way or the other. But that said, the fact of the matter is, in terms of civil society, which is actually my own constituency, I think we have not done enough. I am avoiding using the word that maybe we let down Nigerians. Civil society is not supposed, to take positions for or against. We should be thinking about the interest of Nigerians. What we see with the last election is that the civil society was polarized in a way that you have people, organizations pitching tent with one camp or the other. And because of that, the civil society intervention became less effective than if it had not pitched camps. The different organizations have not pitched camp with different candidates. And that to me is very disappointing. It's something which I need to take back, to the civil society organizations. We need to learn our lessons from what has happened so that we can be better in future. Because Nigerians tend to rely on the civil society. If you bear in mind that the media is the fourth realm of the estate, civil society is not. So in a way, they see the media being somehow part of the whole system, in a way. But in another way, they see the civil society as totally independent and capable of speaking for Nigerians. I think we didn't do enough. I would not say we let down Nigerians. We didn't do enough, to ensure that Nigerians are able to look at issues objectively rather than from a subjective viewpoint.
Okay, interesting. Abiodun Sowunmi, looking ahead, we've heard from Atiku Abubakar's media office, the PDP's media office, that he'll be giving a press conference on Monday. What key issues or messages do you anticipate the PDP presidential candidate who just lost the presidential petition at the Supreme Court, what key issues or messages do you anticipate he will address? And how might this impact the political climate in Nigeria?
The former vice president and a presidential candidate in the last election, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, no doubt is a statesman. Is a man that believes in rule of law. If you look at his attempt to actualize his long life ambition to be the president of Nigeria, I think this is the 5th or 6th time. He has done a lot. On each occasion, he has always been respecting the decision of the higher courts in the land. I think it's only one occasion that I think he left, maybe 2019 when he went to Dubai, and Obi was the one actually coordinating the appeal. So when you really look at it, he's a statesman who, in his own sense, is a Democrat who is willing and happy to ensure that the rule of law guides our democracy. So within this contest, and based on my own perception of who Atiku Abubakar is, I would expect him on Monday to concede and say, okay, the Supreme Court has adjudicated, no matter the imperfections, they adjudicated on the basis of law, not on the basis of perceptions of people or expectations of people one way or the other. And they have made a decision, and we have to agree with it. I would expect him to congratulate the president, Bola Tinubu, on his victory at the last election, affirmed by the Supreme Court. I think it seriously would do that. Okay. It does not, it won't change the picture that it might even end up challenging Tinubu again 2027. That does not matter. But I think Atiku will go ahead and do that. He's a statesman, a former vice president. I think he will do that.
He remains to be seen. Bear in mind that the party has made some statements as well following the court verdict. But thank you very much, Abiodun Sowunmi, social commentator. Nice to see you again, and it's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.